Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy CV with another reaction video. This is Jon Stewart interviews George Carlin. 40 years of comedy. This is 1997. This is 4 years after I came to this country, and my English was bad, so I never saw this ever. And this will be the first time listening to it. Just knowing how George is, I'm gonna try to correlate everything he says to how it is today, because I think George just does that. Like he saw things coming down the pipeline, man. And you know, let's see what he says, man. Let's get this to 40 likes we can. Appreciate you guys, man. Let's do it.
When you were a kid growing up,
yeah,
How old is
you wanted
Jon
to be
Stewart?
Danny Kaye.
Jon Stewart. That's a young Jon Stewart.
How do you think this thing is working out so far?
Wait, who?
well, I knew.
Who did he say? Bobby K? Who does that?
You wanted to be Danny Kaye.
Danny K. I don't know what that is.
How do you think this thing is working out so far? Looking back.
Well, I knew I wanted to stand up and, you know, and be silly, and have people say, "Isn't he cute? Isn't he cute and clever?" And that's all it was a reward, a psychic reward. You know, when you're a kid and you find out that you can get the attention of adults and approval. And a little bit of respect, and you just hunger for, you keep going back for it. And I have, fortunately, genetic, you know, my little toolkit, my genetic toolkit I was given.
How do you think this thing is working
Listen to
out
what
so
he
far?
said.
Well, I knew I wanted to stand up and...
He said I wanted to stand up, and it's like I wanted to stand up and say something, but being a stand-up comedian.
You know, and be silly, and have people say, "Isn't he cute? Isn't he cute and clever?" And that's all it was a reward, a psychic reward. You know, when you're a kid and you find out that you can get the attention of adults and approval. And
you get the attention of adults
and you just
and
hunger for, you keep
approval.
going back.
This dude, like, you really got to listen to George, man. Like, he's giving you gems, but at the same time, he's telling you some truthful stuff. Okay, internet, like, come on, bro. We just put in a new line and it's still acting up. This is, come on, man.
Reward, you know, when you're a kid and you find out that you can get the attention of adults and approval and a little bit of respect, and you just hunger for, you keep going back for it. And I have, fortunately, genetic, you know, my little toolkit, my genetic toolkit I was given included a mother and father who were very funny people, could do accents and dialects and tell funny stories about what happened on the bus.
That's crazy the way he thinks
have
that,
a
like that.
punchline. So you don't lick it off the rocks, they say in Ireland. So I thank my grandmother's milkman, actually. Which might have you never know where these things go.
No, you can never tell. It's interesting,
grandma's
you know, as I
milkman.
watch you now and through all the years of listening to your albums and things, your fascination with language is so apparent. Watching you work is almost like watching a musician. You know, the way you weave words and use language for emphasis and all that. Was that always a fascination for you, even as a kid?
Well, to go backwards with the question, don't forget what we do is oratory. It's rhetoric. It's not just comedy, it's a form of rhetoric. And with rhetoric, you look and you listen for rhythms. You look for ways to sing at the same time you're talking, and to go da-da-dun, 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 dun-dun, and dun, da-dun, dun, 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 da-da-dun, 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 da-da-dun. And it's just natural. My grandfather, whom I never knew, was a policeman in New York at the turn of the century, and he was an uneducated man, self-educated. And he, in the course of his adult life, he wrote out the works of Shakespeare by hand because of the joy it gave him.
That's an obsessive young man.
Yeah, and most everything is genetic, and my mother cared a lot about language, and my father was a champion public speaker of 1935. Wow. He won the Mahogany Gavel over 800 other public speakers from the Dale Carnegie Public Speaking Institute, and he was great. I never knew him either.
Wow. That's something.
It's in his blood, man.
Put off by the direction that you went in?
Just from his uncle, just writing the Shakespeare, like, and it brought him joy because he said he was not an educated man, but we all know that Shakespeare, like, that's not an easy thing to follow, but he wrote it himself. So language was a thing that, I mean, his family was just into it, right? From public speaking, mother, uncle, and then to him. So I get it, man.
Too, when you started to go counterculture, was it a difficult transition for them to watch?
Well, he was out of the picture. He was brilliant, and he was a top salesman in advertising, but he couldn't metabolize ethanol efficiently. So
George is crazy.
My mother was very brave. She left him. I was 2 months old, and my brother was 5 years, and she left down a fire escape. So he was gone. My mother was very kind of controlling, wanted to control my life, and was heartbroken when I began with the dirty language and the awful stuff he says about business. She was an advertising executive secretary, loved the business world, thought it was just the finest thing that ever happened. And so when I went in that direction at first, very opposed, until one day we lived on the same street that I grew up, that I went to school in. I went to school on the same block I lived on, something like that. Corpus Christi School, and the nuns were great. It wasn't a typical Catholic school. It was an experimental progressive school that didn't have grades, didn't have any sort of corporal punishment. It was just very, very wonderful school. And the nuns, she would see the nuns in the street, and they would say, "Oh, we saw George on the Tonight Show." And she, being a bit of an actress, she would say, "Oh, it's the awful language, sister, the awful language." And one of them said to her, No, you don't understand. He's using it for other purposes. He's not just doing it for that. It's kind of like part of what he does.
Yeah.
Don't you understand? It's this and that and so forth." So she said, oh. And from that day on, she was okay with it because the church had approved it. So that was that.
Yeah, who talks about the church and religion more than George? That's
People
funny.
who deal in content
Irony.
that's on the edge as you do oftentimes live a life that's similarly on an edge. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those people go off the rails.
Yeah.
And we lose them and their talent. And you've been able to not do that and been able to pull it back in and
Another luck stroke. You got to have luck in this world. Part of it's your genetic makeup, that's luck. And then what you do with it is also partly genetic, because hard work is genetic. The desire to do hard work, the willingness to work hard and be determined and not be turned aside, that's all genetic too. It can be altered a little and reinforced. But some of the people who had so much edgy promise, they died young. I mean, Lenny Bruce, Sam Kinison, Andy Kaufman in his way,
Sure.
Freddie Prinze, John Belushi, Bill Hicks.
right.
And it's just, I don't know.
These are people that I need to look up and see their work. I heard all of those names before. Like Andy Kaufman is one guy that I don't really know too much about, but all I know about Andy Kaufman is like he did an act and they couldn't figure out if that was him or if that was an act, something like that. But I know all those names and we should react to them.
Of course, Bill had a natural disorder of his own. I think so did Andy, but it's not always behavior. But sometimes it's just genetic. But it's just that I think there's a degree of luck and intellect involved in giving up things that hurt you. The drug and alcohol thing, it seems to me, comes down to this. Drugs and these things are wonderful. They're wonderful when you try them first. They're not around for all these millennia for no reason. First time, mostly pleasure, very little pain, maybe a hangover. And as you increase and keep using whatever it is, the pleasure part decreases and the pain part, the price you pay, increases until the balance is completely the other way and it's almost all pain and there's hardly any pleasure. At that point, you would hope, then the intellect says, oh, this doesn't work anymore. I'm going to die and I'll do something. But
listen, man, I know I should just let the video play. I know. But what he said is so true because I used to smoke all the time, man. And it's been 15, 16 years. I haven't smoked anything. I just became paranoid for whatever reason. I think my intellect said, hey, man, this doesn't help you because it puts you in a weird place where before I was a goofball. I'm talking about while playing sports, video games. I was a goofball. But then it got to a point where I was just paranoid constantly. And I'm like, wait, I'm just talking to myself. And I'm like, not hating myself, but I didn't like where I was at the time. And that made me change who I am. So I guess that's good. But then again, like, and then I said, you know what? That made me change my mindset. That's a good thing, right? Became a business owner, and I have a couple of business going, and I'm doing fairly well. And then I said, let me try it again. And then and it came back, and it was just like, I don't like where I am right now. I kept telling myself, CV, you're not where you're supposed to be. And so therefore I hated myself a little bit. Like, not hate, but I just didn't like where I was because I know I can be better. So I was mad at myself. That's what smoking ended up doing to me. Where before it was just like, I loved it. And then after a couple of years, it was just like, you're not where you want to be. Change your life. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just like, it was just, I didn't want to smoke anymore. So it's been a long time. Am I where I want to be today from not smoking? Yes, I am. So I guess it helped me in a weird way, but I understand what George is saying though, man. It's like, I lived it, I experienced it, man. That's crazy to me.
The pleasure part decreases and the pain part, the price you pay, increases until the balance is completely the other way and it's almost all pain and there's hardly any pleasure. At that point, you would hope, then the intellect says, oh, this doesn't work anymore. I'm going to die and I'll do something. But you need people around you who can help you, and you need something to live for. You have to have something to look forward to bring you out of it. You know, there are a lot of people who don't have a lot to live for. And
for me, it was my son.
Was there ever any fear that by giving up the drugs, you lose a bit of the genius by giving up the wild lifestyle, sanity being the enemy?
Well, that has been a canard for a long time, that most of this creativity comes from being wacky. And I'm sure there's a lot of truth in that, as far as just being plain old wacky. Where the drugs are concerned and alcohol, they do seem to open a window for you. They do seem to broaden the vistas at first. The thing you have to do is learn when, you know, it's like all these great writers who became drinkers. You have to sort of, like, I find with pot, I'm not a big drug user anymore, but I have always a joint somewhere near me. I don't, hidden. Might be hidden. And what I do, and I hardly touch it maybe once a month, that would be frequent for me. But when I'm writing something, and I write perfectly straight, perfectly sober, and I write a whole lot of stuff, 6, 7, 8, 9 pages, and I really pour it out, the next day, one hit is all I need now. One hit, and it's punch-up time. Time to get this thing going. And you do find, with that sort of judicious use, I find there's some value in it. But most of the things we use don't let you leave them alone. They don't. Pot does, thank goodness for that.
Well, that's excellent. What? Sorry, you can applaud.
I like that.
That's more than fair.
Because like I said, for me, it helped me to understand where I was, and I wasn't happy where I was, and I'm happy where I am now because of it. You know what I'm saying? So I get it, man. That's great.
You can more than applaud.
Yes, thank you.
Why do you still care? Why do you still care enough to keep, you're at a point in your life where you could go back, you could do your month in Vegas and Florence Henderson could open up and you could go and hit a couple of balls and then some pinball.
Yeah.
Why do you still care so much?
Well, I'm not comparing myself to any of these people, believe me. But you wouldn't say to Picasso, when are you going to put those brushes down? Get rid of the canvas, you've done it.
Right.
I'm an entertainer, first and foremost, but there's art involved here, and an artist has an obligation to be en route, to be going somewhere. There's a journey involved here, and you don't know where it is, and that's the fun. So you're always going to be seeking and looking and going and trying to challenge yourself. So without sitting around thinking of that a lot, it drives you and it keeps you trying to be fresh, trying to be new, trying to call on yourself a little more, you know?
And willing to put up with the grueling promotional schedule and everything else. You've got,
the only way.
Picasso never had to do morning shows in Albuquerque.
Right.
You know.
And the only way I can do this is to go where the people are. They will not come to my house. We've offered bus rides and everything. They will not come. I have to go to Stevens Point, Wisconsin, or wherever it is. And the audiences are great, and they buy the tickets ahead of time, and they really wait for you to come there and see it. In the theaters and concert halls, it's special, because the audience, they do it beforehand, and you're the whole evening. In Las Vegas, you're an afterthought. You're an also. Well, we could go gambling. We could go hookering. We could get drunk. We could go to the convention. No, let's go see this guy. And if they like you, they do, but they're not committed fans. So it's a different tone.
You're an also.
It still works. You can still do some things there that you can feel good about, you know.
Do you feel your place in comedy now? Do you feel the, you know, because we've been spending a lot of time at the festival, and everybody that I would mention, you know, hey, I'm going to do this George Carlin tribute, and their faces light up, and to a person, really, Carlin? And can I meet him? Is he around? Do you feel that place? Is that in...
Well,
you know,
that is growing on me. I think, you know, longevity is a wonderful thing. Sometimes you get applause just for not being dead. When you say,
oh my God.
When you say, I'm going to be 60, they applaud that. Wonderful, not dead, 60. But I'm getting a sense of it. You know, when you're in planes 3 days a week, I go out every Friday, I come home every Monday. It's 3 different cities, 3 different nights, airports, hotel lobbies. And people are wonderful. I love individuals. I hate groups of people. I hate people who have a group of people with a common purpose. Because pretty soon they have little hats, you know, and armbands, and fight songs, and a list of people they're going to visit at 3 a.m. So I dislike and despise groups of people, but I love individuals. Every person you look at, you can see the universe in their eyes if you're really looking, and they're great. And so cumulatively, I have gotten the feeling that I'm in this big family, a family life I never had, by the way. This, so to say, extended family of people who feel like you're their cousin. You know, it's like, Georgie, 1961, I saw you. Hey, remember that? Yeah. Oh, and you know what you said? And I said, did I? Oh, yeah. So it's, you know, it's just great. And so cumulatively, you say, well, I guess I'm in the family. I guess it's okay.
Yeah. Do you think, does it boil down?
Wow. That's crazy, man.
After 10 HBO hours, after a multitude of best-selling albums, after Grammy nominations, after Emmy nominations, after Cable Ace Awards, does it all boil down to what you had said originally, that it's about, hey, dig me?
Hey, look at me, ain't I cute? It's just a topic called showing off. And if you can get them to not only stop and listen, but say, isn't he cute? You're cute. If you can get the approval. See, in our school, we didn't have grades, so we didn't have A's, B's, and C's, and D's. The only A's I got, and this is a little corny, I got their attention, I got their approval, their admiration, their approbation, and their applause. And those were the only A's I wanted, and I got them.
You certainly have mine, so.
Drop the mic.
I just want to say that I can't tell you enough what a pleasure this has been for me to spend some time with you and to be a part of this show. And thank you very much for all the wonderful
to know you a little, and you are going to show us a lot, and I look forward to it.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. George Carlin, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Oh my God. Yo, when he's okay. That he says the only A's I wanted was this, and this. God, that was so good, man. Then he told Jon Stewart, like, I'm looking forward to what you're gonna show. Like, I just watched Jon Stewart last night. I'm not gonna say what it was because I know how sensitive people are, how conflicted America is, and how we got to choose sides. So I, you know, that was crazy for him to say that. Because it's happening now. You got one side and you got another side. And it's like, let's battle for it. I mean, I've seen the president go on Joe Rogan, and I see the vice president, or current, well, not current, but vice president go on Club Shay Shay. And I'm just like, bro, I wish George was alive today just to see what's going on. He would have been like, yeah, this is boring to me. I've seen this movie before. George would really say, I seen this movie before. Okay, what is new? Right? I saw this happening. What is new? Why you bringing me back? Let me rest in peace. That's what George would say. The funny thing about George Carlin interview is he gives you gems, but you just have to pay attention. Just like his comedy work, you have to listen in how you ingest, because even when he said as a kid, like, all we want from our parents is this, and this, but we want the approval. Think about that for a second. Even his interviews make you want more. I wanted more. I thought that was short. Shout out to young Jon Stewart, turtleneck, leather jacket, 90s look, you know what I'm saying? George is just an amazing person, man. I think you can ask him his age, and I think you have to listen to the answer because like he can give you an answer, but it's in his unique way. That's what one thing I've learned about George. It's not punchline, 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 punchline. George will build up to it and say, hey, this is what it is. But if you didn't hear it and you didn't listen, you'll miss it. It's not punchlines, man. And I love that type of comedy because not only are you being funny, but you're giving me truth. You're giving me things that I need to be aware of myself and things around me. That's what George does, man. If there's any more interviews with George, please put in the comment section below. We will watch it because I think the man is just as unique as he is on stage, but also off stage. I'm talking about George just having fun. Is there anything like that? Put in the comment section below. We will watch and we'll react to it because I think George was an amazing person, man. It was different, man. And he did it his way, his unique way. Anyways, keep your head up. Love you guys, man. Till next time. Peace.